over the next 10 to 15 years, we are going to see that the advent of cell and gene therapies are going to make a lot of currently incurable diseases curable. These include things like dry AMD, which affects 170 million people worldwide. 40 million of those are in India. These include things which are not very commonly known to the public, like retinitis pigmentosa, but think that these are 15 lakh kids will go blind in India because of that. These will also include things like Parkinson's, things like diabetes. So the long-term vision is to create a scalable cell therapy platform which can democratize access to such therapies. If I today look at cell and gene therapies that are going to come out from startups, they're going to be priced at $150 to $200,000 for a single injection. This is huge. I mean, this is not something that is affordable, not just in India, but even in the West. We want to create therapies with same or higher quality, but at 90% or lesser price than any of the companies. Because then we can make sure that it is available to a larger section of humanity. So that's the long-term vision, to create a suite of innovative products which can help expand access for such therapies for incurable diseases.
What iStem is doing, the first product itself, the product for age-related macular degeneration dry type, is a large problem globally. 150 to 200 million people suffer from this condition. There's no known treatment anywhere in the world for this disease. And the team which is trying to tackle probably the best one can imagine. A combination of three people, in addition to this fabulous advisory board, a medical doctor, an ophthalmologist, probably very few in a country of 1 billion people, maybe less than 5 ophthalmologists with a PhD degree in retina, and a medical doctor who has spent his entire life in clinical trials, leading global organizations, Jogin, and a third co-founder, a cell biologist of fabulous credibility. So I think all these things put together, we feel this is an ideal investment from the venture capital point of view. More than that, when we entered, they have decent proof points, what they're talking about it. So I think a great team, a great problem, a good solution, using capital very efficiently to reach where they are. And for all these reasons, I'm saying this is a typical venture capital investment. I want to make a couple of points. Everything in healthcare cannot be digital. You have diseases, you need to diagnose them, you need to prevent them, and you need to treat them. For diagnosis, you need medical equipment, you need reagents. For prevention, you need vaccines. And for treatment, you need drugs, surgeries, implantations. And any investor claiming to be a healthcare investor cannot shy away from investments in diagnostics, treatment options, which include the discovery of drugs, new vaccines, etc.
Started, as I said, with retinal pigment epithelium for dry AMD. As we created a unified protocol from which we created two products. So one is RPE, the other is the photoreceptors. Both are layers of the retina side by side. So we created the photoreceptors. So our flagship product is RPE, for which we hope to be first in human trials in the next 12 months. While that is going on, we have another suite of products. One is the photoreceptors, for which we are getting animal data now. And we have also created a product for the lung, for a condition known as idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. Once the first in human trials start, we will have a platform which will churn out products almost every 12 to 18 months through a virtuous cycle of research and development, where we will end up learning more from the first product and make less mistakes and move faster and faster. So that's the overall plan. We have a patent in the US, we have a patent in India. We've got several publications in some very nice journals and so on. So there is a lot of scientific credibility that we have built up within the ecosystem. I was presenting at the World Stem Cell Summit. We have grants from BIRAC, which are fairly prestigious and all of that. So scientific credibility is extremely important in an endeavor of ours. The first thing we did is started to figure out if there is a way to uh, address, first of all, the way we filter our decisions is the disease incurable? That is point number one, right? Globally. Secondly, can we bring new innovation, not just try and copy what somebody else is doing? Third, then we say, well, fine, can we recreate that particular cell type in the lab? And there are several ways to do it. Can three people do it the same way? Can one person do it three times? So inter and intra-reader variability is decreased so that you have a protocol that is robust. And we create a robust protocol. Right? Then we say, fine, let us work with the best labs in the world to figure out how to validate this in animals. For example, for RP, we work with Ohio Oregon Health and Science University, which is the center for excellence for macular degeneration research. All the startups that are working all go to them. So we went to them and said, here are our cells. They are not GMP grade, but can you put them in animals and see if we can get proof of concept? Which they did, and they told us that these cells are really good, and they're very excited. They gave us a very nice report. And we said, fine, this is a research grade protocol. Can we create a manufacturing grade protocol, which means getting rid of reagents that are of animal origin and creating a certificate of analysis, doing vendor qualifications, a lot of documentation that I bring from my IQVIA scientific background. Once you can create a manufacturing grade protocol, then you say, fine, you will create it. Now let's redo the animal study and see if the animal, and we can recreate the exact same results. That also we did, right? Then it was very important at that point to work with the FDA because these are all very niche products. So exactly how to take this to humans is not very well defined anywhere in the regulatory landscape. So we did a pre-IND, what we call a pre-IND, which is a consultative process with the US FDA, saying, listen, here's our data, here's what we plan to do. Tell us what we are doing wrong. And there was a lot of consultation of how many animals to use, which is the species to use, what is the needle size to use. So these are the things that people trip upon. For example, if you use the wrong needle size in animals, and if you take another needle size for humans, then they will say, well, do all your animal data again with the other needle size. Right. So all these things we hashed out very, very specifically with we said, we are looking to do a first in human trial. So here's our clinical trial outline. Does this make sense? Here's how we are looking to create endpoints for patients to determine whether the trial is successful or not. All of that was thrashed out with the FDA. So now we are in the final stretch for the RPE product. Let's talk dry AMD. So there is another condition known as wet AMD, which is currently treatable. Treatable in the sense you can put some injections in there. They are marketed by the likes of Novartis and so on. The market size currently for all those drugs is $8.9 billion. That is for wet AMD. Dry AMD is 9 times that of wet AMD in terms of incidence and has no cure. So we're just talking about one condition. Because these are all virgin markets. I mean, there's nobody in there. So market size is as big as you can grab.
Before I go into the specific companies, there are two ways of developing. The origin of the cells, you can take the embryonic stem cells with their own limitations, controversies, or you can use the induced pluripotent stem cells. So some startups are using embryonic stem cells, and some startups like iStem are using induced pluripotent stem cells. The second is the delivery mechanism. Once you have a successful product, how do you inject into the retinas? You can always inject by suspension of cells, which again, iStem is taking the route, Or the second approach is you develop a sheet of cells outside as a membrane and inject those cells or inject those sheets or membranes. Again, some startups are taking that route. The jury is still out. We don't have the final answer, but we strongly feel the suspension of cells may be easier and maybe a better solution to treat the solution. Having said that, there are 5 or 6 companies in the world. I'm sure Jogin can add a few more to the list. We have from Japan, Israel, and US, companies like Astellas, Lineage, and Regenerative Patch Technologies. In addition, a few groups from University of Kobe and National Institute of Health, academic institutions are also developing a few products. But having said that, you may ask me a supplementary question. Are you not worried? Already there are 5, 6 players out there in the market. Like any drug, it's not a winner takes all. There are opportunities for everyone. Business is there for everyone. Each product will be different in terms of efficacy, costing, etc. And all of them will have their own role to play. At the moment, all of them are on the same stage of development, maybe a phase ahead or behind the others. And we strongly feel iStem is at the correct juncture to make a mark in cell therapy at the global arena.
So one of the things we figure out how to compete with is by staying small and staying nimble, because nimbleness is all that matters. You have to, on the one hand, make sure that you have documentation and everything that can withstand FDA and so on. But our nimbleness helps us. I'll give you an example. Lineage started about 6 years before we did, or maybe even more. Right now, we are about 2-3 years behind them. So we've caught up a lot because of our nimbleness. I'm not too worried about big pharma, because in this space, honestly, there are like 5 people who are doing what we're doing. And if big pharma starts today, they won't catch up because they're slow. I mean, there's a reason why they're slow, right? They're a bigger bureaucracies and so on. At the same time, what we want to do is all the quality documentation that we keep, the quality approaches that we have, are of a point where tomorrow, if big pharma wants to come in and do a due diligence, they should not be surprised. I would say they should be surprised that a small company like ours has the ability to create documentation which is of the scale of a big pharma. People is the only thing that makes any company work. Culture eats strategy for lunch. People said that, and I absolutely believe that. And we have to first focus on the culture. So, who are the people who can collaborate with another, who are passionate in the cause, who have the necessary skills, of course. But in terms of, we are very, very, possessive about the culture. I would use the word, because we just had this conversation with my chief scientist yesterday. I said, why don't you hire 4 people? Why go one at a time? And he said, no, because I want to get 1 or maximum 2 people in. They should be able to digest them well. They should be able to understand the team culture well. And once they do, then in 6 months I'll add another 2. So we are very clear that we need to have a collaborative culture where what needs to be done is much more important than how it is to be than who does it. If there is a mistake, how do you correct it is much more important than who created the mistake. So all that we bring in. This is where my previous experience in large companies also helps, because I understand that one bad apple, create havoc. So that's how we build a team, one at a time. We will look to get our first RPE product in the market in the next 3 to 4 years. While that is happening, we will have at least 2 other proof of concepts for our retinitis pigmentosa and the idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis products. While that is happening, we're looking to expand to Singapore or Australia for additional human trials. So we have conversations going on with both Singapore as well as Australia on the same subject. And And we do believe we will be one of the very, very few startups in the world who will have attempted to treat the kind of diseases that we have. So we'll certainly be no more than five. That's even today, there's no more than five, but we're hoping in next years we'll be one of two or three.
It means a lot to the Indian entrepreneurs. Even today, there's a great opportunity, even in traditional drug discovery, small molecules, biologicals, vaccines. Vaccines will made a decent mark actually. In small molecules and large biologics, when I say large biologics, the biosimilars, India hasn't made a mark yet. We're very good in APIs, drug substitutes for the global markets. That is traditionally the generics market. India is the largest FDA-approved labs in the world. So while there are still opportunities for drug discovery for small molecules, large molecules, probably we are a decade ahead. And there may be even more greater opportunities and new technologies being developed in the world. Probably everyone is at the same stage. Whether it is the cell therapy which Jogin and iStem is developing, or the CRISPR technologies, or the gene therapies, or the CAR-T therapies for cancer treatment. So I think we need a few success stories like iStem to really instill the self-confidence in the Indian entrepreneurs, Indian scientists, that real life sciences companies can be built from India.
India has been fantastic for us as a VC partner. They are the ideal VC partner because, first of all, Ramesh is an incredible supporter for us. We've got, we talk sometimes at 7 in the morning, sometimes at 9 at night, and that the amount of passion that he brings to making sure that we are succeeding is fantastic. They are the ideal partners because they know that for us to succeed, they need to provide us the space that we need in order to make our decisions and all. They are very well aware of the point that sometimes scientific experiments fail. On the other hand, they also provide us a lot of feedback on things that are not our core. For example, shareholder agreements and share subscription agreements and all that. We have our own lawyers, but we like to double check with NDA as well. So to become a very trusted source of information, and we've got a very, very close relationship with them. We're very happy. I don't think I could be happier with the decision for us to align with NDA.